Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Everything Actually with me, your host, Ashley Fisher. Welcome to episode 23. Brings me to my first point. We are now tied on YouTube and Spotify for 32 followers. Yay! And I think it's kind of ironic because this is the 23rd episode. So, it's backwards. You know what I mean? It's just meant to be. It's just a sign. So, with that said, I was like, what do I want to talk about today? Because my notes app has zero to no organization, and all of my ideas are literally I'll be walking on the treadmill and I'll be like, oh, I should talk about this in my podcast. And I'll put a note in my notes app and then I'm like, oh, I'll come back to it. And then it gets lost in there. So, this is one of those many notes that I just fed into. It was a quick note that was, treat yourself as you would a child. And hear me out for that, because it's more of a self-love type of thing, a sweet, soft type of love. And to also go back to, what your body organically knows before you started thinking so much, basically. So with that said, self-care like you're a kid. It's going to be a different title, but that's what we're working off of. And this is what I was just saying. Some answers lay here, like somatic shaking, which comes to our body knows what to do, but our brain has regulated it, so you think it's not what to do. So somatic shaking, it's also known as neurogenic tremoring, and it releases built up stress, trauma, or tension. Yeah. So it is when you spontaneously tremble, vibrate, or quiver in a safe setting. What does that mean? You know, as a kid, when you see a kid having a temper tantrum, or they're getting stressed out and they just kind of they shake, you know what I mean? They'll just shake their whole body. That is what I'm talking about. And it shows as a kid, you're not oh, I'm gonna shake my whole body because that'll release all of the stress and trauma I'm feeling right now. Your body just knows to do it. And it's something that you could implement into your adult life, that when you're stressed and when you do get to a safe space, you could just kind of dance it out type of thing. So I just thought that was just one cool, quick example of how your body, even as a kid, knows what's best for you. And we'll bring this into hobbies and such, but so this is a funny... what the heck? A hair just went across the screen. But this was my notes that I drew. Beautiful, color-coded, very organized. The funny part that I'm trying to show you guys, do you see that little head there? And then there's the scales. I always go back to thinking of Webkinz, if that gives you a little my age and the time I grew up. 2000s. But anyways, on there, you would have a Webkinz, right? And it'd be the little head, and I don't know exactly, but for storytelling purposes and for the cases that I'm gonna make here, there was health, hunger, love, and happiness / entertainment. I think of this as a person. If you think of yourself, I've talked about it on my TikTok. I don't know if I've talked about it in podcasts, but I always compare real life to video games, because I do believe that it's you're your own character and you dress it up how you want to, and you design your own space and you design your life. It's the same thing in real life. So with Webkinz, how there's your health, I say that's your hygiene. You would have to bathe your Webkinz. For your hunger, you would have to feed them. For love, I think the love and the entertainment one kind of clash, where it was you would take them to the arcade and you would play games, or you would buy them things and that would make them happy. To put this now to, how does this apply to you? I believe that those are the 4 kind of bubbles that you would talk about to keep you at your best, you know what I mean? If your health is super low but you're feeling super loved, you're still not at your best. If you're feeling super happy and entertained but you are starving, you're still not at your best. So you need all of those to be happy. With that, you should not be denying yourself of any of these necessities. To root it back to how how you would take care of a child. Because this was also like a TikTok trend where it's like, oh, when somebody's being mean to my boyfriend, but this is him. And it shows like, you know, this guy who's like 6'5", built like AF. And then it's just like him as, you know, in preschool. And you're like, oh, but he's just a little baby. That same kind of idea that you need to treat yourself with that like soft love. One note that I put on here is think what you would and what you wouldn't say or like do to a child. So like if you see a kid eating, let's say they have one Lunchable sandwich, you're not gonna see them going for a second and be like, whoa, you are way too fat, you should not be eating that. But a lot of people, that's what they would say to themselves. If they're going for seconds, they're like, whoa, I'm getting fat, I'm gonna be fat, I can't eat this. You wouldn't say that to a child though. Same thing as like, let's say it's a uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, it's like a new setting. You know how kids, if they're in like a new setting and they're scared to mingle and make friends, but as a parent, you'd be like, oh, go talk to them, just go say hi, like it's fine. But to yourself, if you're in a new setting, are you giving yourself those same little affirmations and pushes and boosts of confidence, being like, you're a friendly person, people are really going to like you, go put yourself out there, go talk to people? Or do you have this negative self-talk saying, I'm not going to go talk to other people, that's weird, that's, like, I'm going to embarrass myself? Because you wouldn't tell that to a kid. If you were to bring a kid to a playground, you're not going to be like, whatever you do, do not talk to the other kids because that might make you look really, really weird and you're going to embarrass yourself. You would never say that. I think what I'm realizing as I'm recording more of these episodes is I have a strength in kind of putting things in simple examples that makes it easier to understand. Whereas you could understand not controlling what a child is eating, but maybe your brain can't like process that for yourself. So I think that it's just helpful to put it in those situations anytime you say anything mean to yourself. Which now I'm hopping around from my notes. That's why I was like, when I was making my notes, I was trying to limit it, but I kept getting more ideas. But I was like, when I get more ideas, and I get like sidetracked and a little like overwhelmed when I'm trying to explain it around the first time. But that quote being like how you wouldn't say those things to a kid. There's a quote that's like, nobody's, what it's close to, it's like nobody's been meaner than I've been to myself. Nobody's been more cruel than me. Like, I feel like when I think about other people being mean, it is nothing compared to, like, the shit that I've told myself on, like, a day-to-day basis, which I'm not proud of. I'm not bragging here. I'm just saying that it's true. And why I feel like my instant thought being like, well, the reason I'm the meanest to myself is because I know myself the most. So it's like I see these nitpick things that I think other people don't see about me, kind of. There's no justification for it, but that is probably why I'm making one of these episodes being like, everything that I'm preaching here is because I've learned it and gone through it myself. So I know how important it is to not tell yourself really mean things that are just unnecessary. Like, there is no reason that you should be your biggest bully. No reason for that. Let's go into back to my little scale. How you can, your health, your hunger, your love, your happiness. So health, that's just your hygiene. I think of it as basic visuals. Again, when you have a kid, you have to bathe them. You have to brush their teeth. It's like you're putting all of that love into your offspring. Put that into yourself now being grown up. Hunger, that's the same thing that I was just saying. I know food is such a sensitive topic for so many people. I'm not saying just to like always overindulge, but I'm also saying it's okay to be on a meal plan, but like there's a balance to it. There's an unhealthy way to do it and there's a healthy way to do it. Make sure you're doing it healthily and like giving yourself some grace with it. I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not on here to give food advice. I'm just saying take care of yourself. Love. We'll go into this one after. Happiness and entertainment. So the point that I bring up here, as I said before, to go back to your childhood self, what did you like doing as a child? So, me personally, I always played with dolls. I was super into doing, like, hair. Not really makeup. I didn't really get into makeup until, like, 7th grade, maybe. But, yeah, I always loved playing with dolls. Oh, and I also really was into, like, I've talked about this on an episode and I rambled about it, like, wizards and werewolves and vampires. And it's, like, how that, oh, and museums. Museums were, like, a huge thing to me. How that relates to my day-to-day now, when I treat myself to get, like, a museum tour, or even when I just watch, like, horror I love horror movies. But when I watch spooky stuff, like the spooky stuff I used to be into as a kid, it's like, I always knew I liked that stuff. Like, I was always drawn towards that type of stuff. And even I think the dolls is, like, my creative side. Like, that's my storytelling. And it's also kind of funny because I have a younger sister, 2 years younger. If you haven't listened to that episode with Tiffany, go and check that out. I think it was only 3 episodes ago. Yeah, episode 20. And I used to use her, I would play teacher. So I would be like, you know, like as if we were in a classroom and I would give her work to do and she would be doing it. So I feel like that element of, like, teaching is kind of like what I'm doing now. My sister was always, like, super into sports as a kid. What do you think her favorite thing now is? Like, working out. Maybe not. That's just how I see it. She's still super into working out, like, every single day. So, yeah, just look back on, like, what you did as a kid. Because even I used to really love doing hair, like, different kinds of braids and stuff. And I wonder if I were to, like, go back to doing that, if I would be like, wow, I really enjoy this. So, or if you were into, like, word puzzles as a kid, you could go back into it now. If you were into drawing and doodling as a kid, go back to it now and see if you still connect with it. Yeah, I'm, like, challenging you right now. Look back and be like, what were my, like, 3 favorite things to do as a kid? And see, like, how that applies to your life now. Yeah, okay, that's because I'm going to start talking about, like, me as a kid and my hobbies, and that's, like, not what we're here to talk about, but it's, like, the things that you were attracted to as, like, hobbies as a kid, like, you tried them out for a reason, and maybe you did them for a few years, like, that was kind of what you did before all of the social media and all of the digital stuff came out, that then that's what you turned to. Okay, enough about that yapping. So for the love aspects. There are ways, so you guys have probably heard of your different love languages. There are 5, which I'll go into. But this idea is that so your love language is essentially the ways that you show love and the ways that you like to be shown love. So 2 of the examples are quality time and gift giving. Let's say I feel the most loved when I just get to, like, hang out with my significant other. Or not even your significant other. It could be, like, your best friend, whoever. I feel most loved when I just get to spend time with them. Now, they don't feel loved that same way. They feel more loved when I give them a gift. Which I always thought was, like, a shallow thing. But I was like, sometimes that's just how people, like, feel appreciated. It's not a mental thing as much as it's just, like, it's just how I feel. So, yeah, there's different ways to give and receive it. People have different preferences of giving and receiving it. So, here are some of the 5 different love languages and how you can give them to yourself. So, the first one is quality time. If you have a favorite movie and you want to sit down and drink a glass of wine while you watch that, that's quality time with yourself. If you're more into the mindfulness, which is truly being alone with yourself and your thoughts and meditating, and if that's how you feel connected to yourself, do that. Or yoga if you're down more that, like, spiritual path. What I almost spoiled for acts of service, I was saying this is like if you run a nice bath for yourself. One of my favorites is cooking a nice dinner. Like if I'm making pastas on one of the burners and I have chicken on another one of the burners and I have a nice glass of wine and then I cook all of that and then I'm just sitting down, like, watching something on my iPad and I'm like, wow, like, that was nice. That's me showing myself love. Receiving gifts, this can just be buying yourself a little something nice. If you can splurge, go for it. If not, you literally can go to the dollar store and buy yourself a chocolate bar. that counts as, to me, like, I would feel happy about that. Words of affirmation, I'll talk about that after, actually, because it transitions. Physical touch. This is like skincare, a gua sha, a face roller, a massage, a hug. Like, you can, I feel like you think physical touch is something else, kind of, with a partner, but like you can give it to yourself in certain ways. So, and then words of affirmation. This is when I get into, well, the words of affirmation example, that's just saying like, you're beautiful, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of respect, things like that. So, I was saying self-talk is so important. There's a quote by Henry Ford, who I literally always thought it was Michael Jordan. Apparently not. He who says he can and he who says he can't is both usually correct. Yes, this just goes into how important what you tell yourself things are. And what I wrote on my note, like with the underlines and all, I was like, do you realize you make your character and your reality? Like, you have full control over that. Where I'm at right now being like, okay, like, I work out a lot, I have a podcast, I have blonde hair, I live in Tampa, I'm nice, I'm bubbly, I'm chatty, I'm pretty. Like, all of these things I'm writing about myself. I created that, I did that. Tomorrow, if I want to, I mean, obviously not, like, literally, but if I wanted to, like, get up and move to a different city, I could rewrite my whole personality. I could completely be, like, emo and, I don't know, just trying to say, like, I can completely rewrite who I am at any minute. I just need to sit there and be like, okay, I don't want to be this anymore. So maybe a more, like, accurate example, if you're, once again, I know, like, being depressed, it's a sensitive topic. But if you're laying in bed every single day and you're like, I'm just so depressed, like, I hate my life, I hate myself, I don't do anything, I never leave my bed, like, I feel not good about myself. Okay. So part of that you said is that you don't like that you stay in bed all day. You know what's funny? You have control over that. So just, like, get up. Like, get out of bed just get out of bed, and now you're already rewriting that one aspect. Yes, it might be harder to rewrite I hate myself, but it's like, you can control that. So, yeah, I just think that people really, like, people have this misconception that they have no control over their life, when it's like, nobody is forcing you into anything. You are choosing and designing, like, who you are every single minute of the day. If you don't want to be somebody who's a bum who never does anything, do something. Like, it is literally that simple. If you're somebody who doesn't work out and you have, like, these self-body images and you just don't like the way you look, get a gym membership. Go to the gym. Just start going. And then once you start taking action, that's when the effects start coming through. So, another point with that, I said, you know how there's some, like, delusional people, and I'll call them out. Does anybody know Ash Trevino? She was this, like, 30-year-old mom on TikTok who is, like, known for getting with people a lot younger than her and just for being, like, crusty and gross. And the whole funny thing is that, like, she thought that she was, like, hot shit. Like, she was always, like, if you just watch, I feel like I kind of ate with that. She used to do a dance that was like, something with her hands. I think she was like this. But anyways, neither here nor there. What I'm saying, it's like she gave herself all of that confidence. And what I'll go into is, it low-key, like, doesn't even matter. Like, she thinks that she's this, like, baddie, like, nobody can touch her, all the men want her, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Although there are millions of people online telling her the opposite, which, not saying that that's, well, you know what, because of who whatever, I'm not here to say my stance on her. But she thought that she was, like, hot shit, and, like, she probably felt it. Like, you could tell she was feeling it. It doesn't matter that, like, in reality, people are like, you're not. But it's like, in her reality, she is. So it's like, what's the difference? Yeah, I think that's one of those, like, Delulu arguments that I'm so open to having. Being like, okay, if I think my ass is, like, so fat, who's gonna tell me it's not? And then you do, and I'm like, okay, you can think that. I know shit's, you know what I mean? Like, y'all get what I'm saying? As long as I have that confidence and I believe that for my character, I could say that I'm funny. I could think that I'm so funny, and it's like something that I believe to my core. Somebody else, some Joe Schmo who I talked to for 5 seconds on the street, he leaves our conversation and he's like, she was not funny at all. She was so boring, I hated her. But it's like, my reality's not affected. I'm still funny. So what they think completely does not matter. Only what I think matters. All right, sexies, 22 minutes, and I'm scared I'm jumping. I am fearing of such. My other points with that is just, I honestly, like, with those examples, those last 5 minutes of being like, it's your reality, create it. This is the other notes of how I summed it up, but I think I got through them. It only matters if it works in your reality. Your brain only knows what you tell it. So if you're like, I'm a bad bitch, and this is what goes into affirmations, that it's like, you can't look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm so rich, I have so much money, I can do whatever I want because I have all the money in the world. And you're looking at yourself and you're like, the 1 cent in your bank account's like screaming at you, like, then no, there's like a way to go about that. But if you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm gorgeous, like, people love me, people love being around me, and you start believing it, like, that's you now. Maybe a week ago you were like, oh, people really don't like spending time with me. And now you're like, people love me. That's your new reality. Like, that's a fact. Okay, and now your thoughts controls your emotions, which controls your behavior. This is just what I've been noticing. Yeah, that I'm just, what I want in my life, like, I need to go after. That's literally how this episode came up. I was laying in my bed. I was literally right there. And I was like, I'm so bored. Like, what am I doing? I was like, you know what would make me feel good? Recording a podcast episode. You know what would also make me feel good? If podcasting was my full-time job. You know what would help me get towards there? If I got up and recorded that podcast episode. And here we are. Because I practice what I preach. So let me just, like, go over everything. My last note is, so be nice to yourself. Which you can't see, but it's there. Yeah, guys. So, the key notes here are to treat yourself like you were your own child. You should not deny them of the healthy pleasures in life. You should encourage them to do things that they want to do and to even try new things. You should bathe them and take care of their hygiene and treat them with love. I just think that that's literally anything with a kid, how you should talk to them, how you should treat them, what you should and shouldn't be letting them do. It's the same thing with yourself. So that's that point, and not the more important one, but that's how I was going to segue it, is to talk to yourself nicely and to allow yourself to experience the finer things in life. Alright, guys. Yeah, sexies. I guess that is how we're going to end it. Basically, show yourself some love. Treat yourself like you would a little baby. So with that all said, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching. And thank you for everything, actually. Bye, sexies.